Hello, guys, everyone. Thanks for joining in. A couple of people in here today. I'm not expecting too many people to join in because it's such a busy season this year. But we are going to live stream this video. I mean, this webinar will be live streamed on YouTube, and we have got Tom Steiner from Westbound Logistics here, who is going to explain to us on the current situation of logistics. Let's ask him a little bit questions there. Hey Tom, thanks for joining in.
No worries. How is everyone?
Very good. Yeah, your video is not on, Tom. If you could.
Just give me 1 sec. There we go.
Thanks, Tom.
No
you.
worries.
All right. So everyone knows that one of the community members was asking in our group that their usually $2,500 shipment is being charged $10,000 now.
Yeah.
Is that what you are seeing as well?
Yes, it's pretty common. I would love to sit here and say that some of my competitors and sit here and pull them down and say that look they're ripping you off, but unfortunately it's not. It's pretty standard at the minute. Mm-hmm. There's multiple factors that contribute for this rapid rate increase, but this is the first time ever I've seen this very well documented. I was actually supposed to appear on BBC News last week, talking about the same issue, not only about the rate increases, but the port congestion at Felixstowe and Southampton and the difficulties that they've been getting into. So yes, it is very common at the minute that rates are around the 9 to 10,000 mark, and I believe that will probably increase even more come to the new year. Probably peaking around Chinese New Year time is my opinion.
Okay. And if I try to dissect this, why do you think is it so busy at the moment at the ports?
Do you know what? It's everywhere at the minute. So it's not just Felixstowe and Southampton. I know some of your members will end up selling to the US markets as well. I know LA and Long Beach is suffering something very similar at the minute. But not necessarily. It's not a massive it being just an influx of bookings coming to the UK. It's just as busy as it ever was. However, there's an equipment shortage currently in China. Mm-hmm. So what you'll find your freight forwarder telling you, not the fact that they can't actually get the space so much, it's that there is a lack of equipment. So what they're actually struggling to find and book with the shipping lines is to actually get the physical aspect of a 40-foot container. Again, there is a distinct lack of UK exports. So what was happening before is the shipping lines didn't want to load empty containers, full ships worth of empty containers to run back to China. They were skipping out the UK. They were running straight to the more profitable European ports like Rotterdam, Gdansk, and Antwerp, loading paid export markets to then take them back to China. That's obviously had a bit of a knock-on effect because there is a build-up of empty containers that are sitting both at Felixstowe and at Southampton Port. What that also has a knock-on effect for is UK haulage. So there are two shipping lines, major shipping lines, that have pulled out offering any haulage running out of Felixstowe and Southampton. Because what the ports have actually said is they don't actually want the empty containers restituted back at the ports. So what the haulage companies won't do is they won't go and pick that cargo up from the port until they know they can restitute it back at London Gateway, Felixstowe or Southampton, because the haulage companies will then get charged big money for keeping those containers out of circulation.
I see. All right, so that's the situation now. And do you think it's going to resolve in 2021? Is it going to be February, March?
My estimate is it's not gonna resolve itself anytime soon. If anything, I predict the next few weeks are going to get even worse in terms of rates. I genuinely think there'll be rate increases all the way through up to Chinese New Year. Oh, wow. Whereas before, to give you a kind of an idea of where we are at the minute, normally we would charge around sort of £95 per cubic meter if you're moving LCL cargo. Mm-hmm. It's almost like 100% increase on that at the minute as well, and it is changing on a weekly basis. Now, I can't see the shipping lines have kind of strong-armed this position for themselves, and Chinese New Year and the build up to Chinese New Year is always notoriously a very busy period for everyone. Um, Literally all of the Chinese factories and everyone going home in China causes enough pandemonium in itself. So no, I can't see it getting any better until at least post Chinese New Year.
Mhm. Okay. Is it only the small to medium businesses suffering with this, or even the big businesses are taking a big?
If anything, at the minute, I would prefer to be a smaller importer importing less cargo,
I see.
because, like I said, it's not the space that is an issue.
Mm.
It's the physical aspect of getting a 40-foot container. Now, I deal with it predominantly for my job. For those who don't know me, is to go out and find and attract new customers to come and use Westbound. Whereas at the minute, we've almost had a shut door policy to say, look, we don't actually, we want to look after what we have and service our customers the best we can at the minute, because there is such a little and sparse amount of equipment out there at the minute that it's better to be shipping little and often, I think, at the minute, rather than trying to book lots of stuff with the line all in one go. So look, I know sometimes it might seem that the big boys get it very easily, but trying to get like even probably more than 3 containers a week out of China at the minute it's almost impossible.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So I hear some people are using a different strategy of bringing into the European ports and then using hauliers to get from there. Do you think that works well, or is there a problem right there as well?
Do you know what? I think yes. Again, it depends. If you are moving smaller amounts of cargo, it is working. It is working okay, because there are going to be, you're sharing that cost with various other different people that pack into that container. So LCL cargo, that does seem to be a bit more effective than if you are a full load customer. Because if you're a full load customer, where the issue is, you would, if it's a full load, you would still need to take that container somewhere to be devanned, then loaded onto a curtain-sided vehicle to come across. Because what the lines are offering as well at the minute, there is actually, it's a lot cheaper to move a container into one of the European ports, because of the issue that I said earlier, or the benefit of what I said earlier, where the Europeans have higher paying export cargo to move back to China. So the boxes are moving quicker, whereas in England, the containers are coming into the UK and the empties are staying there for ages, and they're not making their way back to China, which is why the UK market is just going up and up and up and up in rate, because the shipping lines don't want the cargo, or lots of cargo, coming into the UK, because they don't get the containers back.
Oh, all right. Okay. That explains very clearly, Tom. That's a very quick explanation of it. And hopefully
Yeah.
it will resolve in the next year. And it should be very busy for you this year, isn't it?
Do you know what? It's a perfect storm, because everyone on an e-commerce platform, what we noticed through lockdown, especially the first one, is e-commerce boomed. There was not really ever a slowdown with people buying online, or so that side of industry. So it has been really busy. And because everyone's having such a good year in certain aspects, especially with e-commerce brands, which means you order more goods, which means there's more stuff coming into the UK, and you guys will end up paying the rate because you need the goods. So again, everything's adding to this problem. It's the UK population buying the products, it's the importers importing the products, and the shipping lines moving the rates up. So it is a perfect storm.
From your clientele, what other strategies do you see to tackle the issue at hand?
To tackle the issue at hand is almost like what you've advised. It's moving into some European ports to move across, but there is, until it's one of those scenarios where it's the same thing as when people ask me about Brexit. Until the UK government can move, or for those that don't know as well, there's actually 11,000 containers worth of PPE equipment sitting at Southampton Port at the minute, which is causing huge disruption, which is why the containers are not being moved fast enough, which is why it can't be empties restituted back at the ports. So I think at some point the UK government are going to have to get involved and try and warehouse some of these containers. or they're going to have to send them back to China, because at the minute it is causing too much of a problem. So the UK government, I think, need to help out. They need to help out at some point. But if you were an importer, my advice to you at the minute is rates, I think, will continue to go up and up and up until Chinese New Year. So I think if there is goods that you're thinking about importing and waiting for the rate to come down in the next 3 months, I don't think it will. So yeah, my advice would be to, if you've got goods, is probably ship it now, albeit that the price you will get given from someone, you will probably say, look, this is ridiculous, but 2 weeks will go past and the rate will go up again. So it's yeah, it's one of those times where it's almost like grit your teeth and yeah, and if you need the goods, then probably get them moving quicker rather than later at the minute.
All right, you're speaking like you're speaking about stock market. You want to get it. Yeah.
I honestly feel like that. I mean, I honestly feel like, because whereas before we could validate a rate for a whole month and give the importer the security of saying, look, we have this contract available, you can move it on this, and you have that security for a month and a month's rate. Whereas now, one sailing at the start of the week could be $8,400. If the supplier misses that, if it doesn't load the container quick enough in time, or it doesn't meet that sailing, the difference in rate could be almost like $2,000 at some point. So we're seeing that the market is that volatile at the minute, where two individual sailings moving at the same time on the same week could have a difference of around $2,000, which is like unheard of. So yeah, we're having to adapt as much as you guys are having to adapt, as much as probably the consumer is having to adapt as well. So yeah, the only real winner out of all of this at the minute is unfortunately the shipping lines.
Oh, brilliant. So if the only viable strategy, as you explained, is about using the European ports, what happens to that after Brexit?
This again, so there was Brexit is again one of those topics where the government need to make a decision on what's happening. Even from a road haulage point of view, I believe before this week started, the government had made a decision on road haulage coming across, that they weren't going to deal with physical checks at borders, because there would be such a backlog of cargo. It would create too much of a problem. The delays going across the borders would be too much. So they were then going to do an online system where the driver would upload all of the customs documentation en route. So everything would already be checked, scanned, and done through. From my knowledge, that was all ready to go and sorted, but now they've turned it out again at the start of this week, and they're all talking about it in Parliament in the next few days. So again, we're back up in the air with that as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of uncertainty in all the areas at the moment. So we have to just go by the flow and adapt to it.
Correct. And I think if I was to give my best estimate on what I think is going to happen in the next sort of 3 to 6 months, I would say the rates probably will come back down, but nowhere near where they probably would have been. If garden furniture and basically like rattan furniture, that all comes into peak season from just after Chinese New Year for about 3 months. So my educated guess would be that rates will probably sit around $3,000 to $4,000, well, in between $3,000 to $5,000, maybe again in sort of June time, I would say. But I think it's going to be a while before we see the likes of sort of $2,000 for a 40 high cube again.
Cool. Nice. Thank you so much, Tom, for a very. I wanted to keep this really quick, because it's just what it is, right?
It is, and I think it's. I'd love to have a solution, but unfortunately, the solution is not caused from anyone other than the shipping lines themselves having a lack of equipment in China. So I think what their obviously aim and objective is that they're almost trying to discourage bookings coming to the UK, so they have a chance to catch up and get some equipment back. But like I said, it's a vicious cycle at the minute, because everyone is being very successful on their online selling platforms. People want goods, and nothing seems to deter the importers at the minute from importing goods. So there is cargo constantly running into the UK. So yeah, it's unfortunately, Prem, it is what it is at the minute. Yeah.
Cool. Fine. I think that's pretty much everything from me to ask, and I heard what I wanted to hear as well. Thank you so much. Is there anything else from who joined the webinar today? Sebastian, Spiros, Grace. Anything? Any questions from you? Good. Yeah, I take the silence as a no. Thanks, Sebastian. All right. Thank you so much, Tom, for joining in today.
Not a problem at all.
All right. Thanks. Just bye.